I always appreciate a good, because I can't do that, so I always appreciate a good single raised eyebrow.
A good eyebrow.
So
Everyone loves a good eyebrow.
Good eyebrow control.
That's important. It really is.
Underrated skill.
It is. Should be put on more CVs.
Oh, it's on mine. Don't worry.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah, it's there.
Front cover.
Yeah,
It's on your LinkedIn.
it's just a picture of.
Yeah.
Can
Hi,
raise
me.
one eyebrow.
Sorry.
Single eyebrow game is strong.
Give it to him. Give him the CEO position.
All right. Okay. We'll start before the hour runs out, and we've just been doing banter the whole time.
This will be the 3-hour session, the first extensive extended edition podcast.
All right. So, hello and welcome to Thermaltake, the official Thermaltake Australia podcast. Today's podcast is another special episode. So for those of you who don't know, it was actually recently the 5th birthday of the Thermaltake Australia YouTube channel. It's officially a little 5-year-old going to school or kindergarten or whatever. So I wanted to do something special to celebrate the 5-year birthday of the channel. And so we're doing a bit of a founders edition of the podcast today. So for this, I'm going to be joined by Jono here, as you can see. And I'm also going to be joined from two blasts from the past. We have Nathanael and Jeremy. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hello.
If this YouTube channel is 5 years old, we've said so many things that are inappropriate for 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
You've not raised it well.
No, this is not family friendly.
Exactly. Especially the unlisted videos.
Oh.
We don't go there.
We won't go into those.
All of the event videos at like 2 a.m. when we're packing down sets, being like, Jono, put it in the box!
There's some stuff. There's some stuff there.
Oh, in the archives. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. I really appreciate it. How are you guys doing? How's life? How's things? How you doing in this apocalyptic world at the moment that we're living in?
Jeremy, do you want to go first? There you go. You go. You were here first.
In this apocalyptic world, I'm just happy to be surviving and in good shape, to be honest. But I've been playing copious amounts of Animal Crossing, which has been jolly good fun. And just working, So sort of those two things have been taking up the majority of my time in the duration of this apocalyptic, craziness that's happening. Lockdown sort of just finally getting lifted in Victoria. Now it seems to be getting reapplied, which is not great news to hear.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
It's up in New South Wales, so hopefully he can start getting out and about properly sometime very soon.
Yeah, I got fish and chips for lunch yesterday. It was great.
Wow.
Random people handling your food. New South Wales is awesome.
That's great.
Oh, it adds a little bit of spice to your life.
Exactly. Just walk into a subway and just start throwing hand towels at people. Like, cover yourself.
Cover your shame.
Yeah, so I'm good. I'm in Sydney nowadays. I love working from home because I've done it so much in the past. I just get to sit here in my own little den and play games and be weird and talk to people. There's like a 70% chance that I'm not wearing pants right now, but
We won't ask you to pick
I like
anything
the
up.
ratio.
G-rated, and Nathanael stands true to that.
You actually
Well,
only
no, he
wear...
doesn't stand. That's the whole point. We hope not.
honest.
Pants are for the weekend anyway. So.
Exactly.
That's it.
Wicked. Well, you have both been, I think, Nathanael, 2 years now, maybe a year and a half. I could be wrong. And Jeremy, I can't even remember the last time you worked here, but 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 3
So
years.
it's been been ages.
Super quick.
Because there was a very weird year where it was me and Jono doing things. We're holding everything together with duct tape and hope.
Pretty accurate, actually. Pretty much. Well, I guess I might dive into where you guys are now, really. So maybe starting with yourself, Jeremy. When you moved on from Thermaltake, where did you end up? What are you up to?
I landed in a dragon lair. And it's got lots of fire and lots of fun in it as well. But no, I'm at MSI, and I've been at MSI since 2017 now. I actually can't believe it's been 3 years already. and handle all the components marketing for the company. So it's a lot of fun. Get to play around with, graphic cards, monitors, motherboards, all of that good stuff. And, up until recently, we're doing a lot of fun events with it as well, showing off the latest wares and so on and so forth. It's quite a fun job, sort of back to being that one-man team, unfortunately. So a bit of a jack of all trades with regards to, work and activities, but it's very fun, very energetic and dynamic. So you get a lot of different, tasks and duties each and every day, keeps you on your toes, and thoroughly enjoying it.
That's cool. That's cool. And so you pretty much don't dabble in video now. It's more the greater.
No, I wish. This is probably the most video I've ever done in the 3 years that I've been.
We couldn't tell.
Really not a lot of video. I unless I'm doing vlog type stuff with a camera in front of me, I don't have a dedicated video man anymore. So.
Oh no.
Sad.
Yeah, video wise, I really haven't done a whole lot on that frontier in quite a while.
And Nathanael, whereabouts are you?
So I moved up to Sydney. I spent a year or so working in a big swanky ad agency right under the Sydney Harbour Bridge in one of these like palatial offices, which was bonkers. Basically just working for big corporate companies and telling them how to talk to humans.
That's been tough. It's a tough one.
And then I landed a really awesome job. So I now run communications and public relations for Dropbox for Australia and New Zealand. So it's another really swanky office, which I like. We've got like an on-staff chef and an on-staff barista who makes our lunch and makes our coffees. And we've got a games room with like a Switch and a 50-inch TV and an Xbox and a PlayStation. And
Wowzers.
It's a super swanky place to work. It's amazing. But it's a lot of like talking to people, finding really cool stories. Dropbox works with a bunch of really cool companies. So, like, I'll be on the phone or on a Zoom call talking to, like, indie filmmakers and then, like, guys doing satellite imagery and then, like, guys doing, like, facial recognition work and then artists. And it's a weird thing where it's like, who's using Dropbox? Who's telling cool stories? I want to go talk to that person. So,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of fun.
It's out.
Oh, don't sell it to me, man. That's fine. No worries.
And I still get to be weird a little bit. So yeah.
That's good.
That's all right then. That's really cool.
And still a little bit of other stuff as well. So I'm also editor for Checkpoint, which is a mental health and gaming charity. So I still write articles and edit things and do a little bit of podcasting and a little bit of video stuff. So yeah. And turn on a camera late at night and just talk to myself. So there are still episodes of the Nathanael Show. They're just all here and it's all me.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Wicked. Yeah, it's cool to see that you're still delving in the audio stuff as well, and then jumping on a webcam and whatnot. Yeah, Dropbox, when you told me, it was quite an interesting. I was like, oh, okay, so what are you going to do at Dropbox per se? But then, yeah, I guess like you pretty much described, and it sounds very interesting. And then Mr. Dragon Man over there as well, always wrapped up in the latest in MSI graphic cards and motherboards and series release after series release. I'm sure you're quite a busy dude.
Oh yeah, the last few months have been it's like swimming in a sea of products and product releases. So it's like 1 week is B550 motherboards, the next week is like Intel's like, hey, we got Z490. So you're constantly just,
random photos on social media making all the PC nerds jealous. Just like, I have this.
This is the latest and greatest. Yeah, it's lots of good fun. But if I wanted to sort of dabble into like video, you'd probably have to just start cutting me up and like separating me into different rooms and be like, all right, Jeremy's arm, you're in the studio today filming this. And you just, hopefully we're
hand channel.
Yeah, exactly. But good news is, at MSI, we're looking at actually hiring a few more people in the marketing side of things now, which is really exciting. And I'm hoping that when we bring some more people on board and flesh out the staffing a little bit, that locally here in Australia and New Zealand, we can start to dive back into, those awesome areas once more. I do miss it dearly. And I look at, the stuff you guys are still doing at TT and continuing to expand, and it's just awesome to watch. So raring to sort of get back into that stuff.
Absolutely.
Where has Jono gone?
I think he's doing some tech stuff
We've
behind
lost
the
Jono.
scenes. But that's fine. We'll just carry on.
Excellent.
That's what we do. It's fine. This next part's about you guys anyway, so we don't even need Jono. So one thing that we always ask people when they're on the podcast for the very first time is a very important question, which is what got you into PC technology and gaming, or PC gaming? So what do you guys remember? What was the thing that got you into it and get interested in it in the first place, if you remember?
Yeah, my first dabble in PC gaming was actually Final Fantasy VII back in 1997 on PC. Prior to that, all of my gaming was things like Mortal Kombat and just random games that I used to play with my cousins. But then that was the first time that I kind of sat down and got really invested in a story and played it from start to finish, and kind of showed me that games could do something that I didn't really think they could do, and it kind of showed me this narrative style and side of games that I hadn't really seen before. And so yeah, 1997 was my first bit, and then it was like a decade of like trying to get as little performance out of my parents' janky computer as possible until I eventually went to university and had enough money to actually build my own gaming computer, which was mostly hand-me-down parts from a bunch of friends and this Frankenstein thing. But yeah, it just kind of kept going from there. And, you know, my desk is still covered in Thermaltake parts, so...
So it's good to hear.
Yeah, Thermaltake headset.
Aww.
Mouse.
Love it. Love it.
There's a keyboard here, but it's under a bunch of stuff. But yeah. Jeremy? Yeah.
On my side, it was, fairly similar. It was my father he's into the sciences, and he was always mucking around with, crazy scientific instruments. And one day he sort of came home with a brand new PC. It was meant for work, but it had a discrete graphic card in it. It was one of the first, I think, NVIDIA or Voodoo graphic cards in it. And obviously, being a computer, you've got to run it through its paces, and we installed some games to it. And at the time, we're talking like the early Star Wars and things like that, Age of Empires, Command and Conquer, for instance. And we played them like no tomorrow. And that's sort of where my PC gaming enthusiasm spawned from, and has grown exponentially ever since. So yeah, similar tale to you. Once I was in high school, got a job, could finally afford, some of my own hardware, built my own standalone PC. I think it was like a GT 9600 or 8800 GTX system. That was a lot of fun for Crisis back in those days, and totally decimated whatever computer hardware you threw at it. So it was just constant tweaking and tuning and overclocking and trying to squeeze every little bit of performance out of your 4 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, whatever configuration you could afford. And today now I work for one of the sort of leading hardware manufacturers. So my garage is just full of PC hardware to play around with and toy with.
That's awesome.
A lot of it, unfortunately, it's media samples, it has to go out, but it is still a lot of fun to where we've come in that short decade period. It's pretty amazing. You go back and look at some of the games that we were playing as kids. You compare the graphics to today, and it's just chalk and cheese. You've got RTX graphics now coming into games. It's like, you've reached this god status of lighting and shading, and it's good stuff. I thoroughly love it.
And we're still not impressed, actually, at 2020. We're always still hunting for more as well.
More triangles.
More polygons.
That's right. Not enough.
Like that.
Textures.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, like, it's really interesting to see how much further we do come every year, because like Unreal Engine did that that demo recently for both console, or like the console world anyway, and that looked really, really cool too. So it's quite funny how it's always, you don't
Always
think
the
it can
next
get any better, but it does, and then you're like, ew, this is so 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's move on to more talking about the YouTube channel. How did the Thermaltake Australia YouTube channel actually come about? Were you guys specifically brought on for it? Did you guys just kind of fall into it? Was it something that you were just like, oh, someone just said, make a channel, go, and you just had to go do it? Do you guys remember how that all began? We're going back in time.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a Jeremy/myself question, and I'm struggling to remember. I think the first video on our channel now that is live,
Public, yeah.
and public that you can see is is one I think of me talking about the Poseidon Z Forge.
Yeah. Filmed in the warehouse.
In the warehouse at the Roville office.
Yeah.
What a classic keyboard. Classic. I remember those.
Yeah.
How did we dive into it though? It was
I want to
urge to want to do more and to sort of expand our repertoire on the marketing side of what we did and what we were capable of. And Jono, at the time, you were heavily into like photography, heavily into sort of video as well, and that was an avenue that you wanted to explore. So wherever we could and wherever we had time, sort of being this two group team, we would always just try and slip in a video. Like I remember there were like Christmas specials and things like that we would do, and it was all filmed in a warehouse. We didn't have a studio. There was no professional lighting. We were operating literally on the cameras that you had, that you were using on the weekend for your own personal, car photography, for instance, and things like that. And we just worked it in over time from memory. And then I think one day we said, you know what, this is proving to be a pretty big hit. There's more that we can do with this, and we can finally fully jump into it now and take it bigger and better. And at some stage, we hit that fork in the road where it was like, okay, video's, looking really promising. How far do we want to take it? And I think at the time, Francis and you and I, Jono, sat down in the meeting room together and sort of worked through a roadmap on where we would like to take it. I remember, I think you came up with a big pitch on video, where we can take video with Thermaltake, and we committed to it, which was really exciting at the time. And I remember, 5 years ago, not a whole lot of people were doing that locally in Australia, at least. There was almost no one doing it. We were, loving what other, groups were doing on video. And we said, we can definitely bring something here that's new and fresh.
Yeah, we'll take some of that pie.
And we'll take goods.
Yeah, for sure. And I think actually, for both of us, we weren't, I was not hired to do video, actually. I was hired as a graphic designer, and I think you in part were as well, but you also like working PR alongside Chris Smith, community manager too. So both of us were not employed to do video, but it was, we should probably explore this avenue because we ourselves, see all these really cool videos by competitors and other companies who are in the same sphere. Let's have a crack. I actually can't even remember. So I think we might have been like, 19, 20, maybe. I think I was like 20 or something, 2021. And now I'm looking at it like, that's pretty interesting to be so young, so young to then like try and start doing video production for as part of like a marketing team for a company. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's pretty odd actually, but pretty cool because it definitely became a strength for us here anyway, because we know our audience. We are, our audience. So yeah, it's really cool. And I think one of the very first big projects we had was the Core X series from memory.
Yep.
I remember the sweat and tears. So like, we blocked off the only meeting room because we had a small office at that time. There's only like 6 employees, including us. Mm-hmm. We blocked off the only meeting room and basically just made it pitch black and used black cloth and stuff and used a Lazy Susan that I don't even know where we bought it from, like IKEA or something.
Right?
Someone's like, I don't know where it came from, but we used that to create that cool like spinning effect and yeah.
Love a good Lazy Susan.
Yeah, and then like fast forward, I think it may have been about 3 years. I could be wrong. Could be 2. But it got to the stage where we we were like, okay, we need like a dedicated video host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Enter the Nathanael.
Yeah.
Floodgates and see who we find. And
Yeah.
Nathanael.
Descended.
Hallelujah.
That's it.
Well, that was yeah. When I met you guys, it was at PAX, and I was there as a freelance journalist for there was an iPad gaming magazine called Grab It Magazine that I was writing for at the time, and I had just finished a stint working in an ad agency, and I remember I went to the Thermaltake booth and I was just looking around at some of the mods that you guys had, because I think that year was the year you had the TIE Fighter.
Designs by IFR's TIE.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been 2015.
Yeah, I think so. Something. Yeah, it was either that year or it was the year with the Battlefield 1 mod. Yeah, no, I think it was the TIE Fighter.
I think that was the same year. I think they were all. At
were they the same one?
Yeah, same one. I think. I'm pretty sure.
And you guys haven't heard this story, but it was funny because I don't remember exactly who I spoke to first on the booth, but I don't think it was Jono. I think it must have been one of your volunteers. And I was just chatting about what I was doing there as a journalist covering stuff, and they said, "Oh, the guys were talking earlier about how they're after a video host. Let me go grab Jeremy for you." And at the same time, pointed me to a bit of paper that was like a "we're hiring" sort of flyer.
Yeah.
That was on the table, and I looked over at it, and I went to pick it up, not realizing that it had been duct taped down to the booth, and I immediately ripped it off, and it ripped a bunch of paint off the booth as well. And as I see Jeremy walking across to this Thermaltake thing, I just put it back on the booth and just smoothed it out and left it.
That's gas.
So my very first interaction was utterly ridiculous as I'm destroying things already. Went through the conversation with Jeremy. I'm like, all right, I'll send you guys an email. I'll talk to you in a couple of days. We'll chat about this, and then we'll do an interview and all that kind of stuff. And then I just very quickly left. And I'm imagining, like, I'm sure it didn't happen, but I was imagining as I was walking away, you going like, what the hell happened here?
That's crazy. Because I remember there being paint missing, but I just chalked it off as like expo stuff, because lots of weird stuff happens at expos anyway. So.
That was the beginning of there were the years that I was working there. I slowly gained the moniker of Nathanael, breaker of things, because over my years at Thermaltake, I broke so many things.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like what exactly you have broken.
There was the graphics card that we tried to fix that was
oh, that's the greatest thing.
That was in a flooded system. We took the entire thing apart. This was a display system that had leaked all over a GPU before I'd gotten there, and I took the whole thing apart. I cleaned it meticulously. I got rid of all the coolant that was all over it. I put it back together. Me and Jono had a test rig. We plugged it in. We turned it on, and it just started spewing smoke.
It
caught
smoke. Fire as well. There was actually flame, and I still talk about that to this day, because we still have that card. It's like behind the set somewhere over there. But that's like the only time I've ever seen anything related to a PC catch fire. And of course it was in your hands.
You cursed it.
Actually the greatest.
Ask at the companies.
Yeah.
I almost just burnt down one of the rooms.
Yeah.
He's on fire.
Yeah. And I do remember there was another one. I think it was for the Core P90 build. It was that it was a purple LCS system. This was, I think, after Jeremy had gone, and it was in the new studio, and it was that weird like right angle P90 thing that Jono had built with these gorgeous loops that sort of wrapped around. And I think we were trying to move it, and I, of course, grabbed one of the tubes and like just putting it down, had a hand in the wrong spot, and one of the tubes comes off and it just starts spraying coolant all over the room. There's just purple coolant all over the motherboard as I put my hand over the tube, and I'm like, stop. And Jono's like, is everything okay? I'm like, it's fine. As my hand is the only thing stopping like another 6 liters of coolant from spraying all over the room.
Oh my gosh. That's great.
Yes. There's many, I mean, breaker of things does not just happen. So
No,
that's really
no.
cool.
There was the other time I dropped the slider as well. But
Yes, I think that's the only one I can like vividly remember, other than the graphics card catching fire. Because I like every time I adjust the slider, I get a reminder of you. I'm like, oh,
yes. I remember I was in the back studio. You were working on something, and I don't remember what I did. I think I put it on a table, and it just sort of went. Meow.
yeah, yeah, that's right. 'Cause
It was like a $10,000 slider system from memory.
Something ridiculous.
it was reaching the 2K mark. So
Oh, the 2000. Sorry.
yeah,
And there was this god almighty crash, and I just hear Jono come running from the other room. He's like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "It's fine.
Again.
It's fine. I should stop incriminating myself."
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, like, to be honest with you, it doesn't really like. It's a non-issue with the slider because you don't use it on the ground anyway.
Yep.
Because it was one of the legs.
Yeah.
That, like you screw it so then it stays in place, or you
Yep.
can loosen it and move it around. But we never use it anyway. And that part of the feature set anyway. So, but like I said, every time I see it, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Not to derail, but Jono, do you remember? It was before one of the PAX shows. There was the LCS wall. It was, for anybody who hasn't seen it at PAX, it was this rig that the guys built. It was a Perspex wall with a bunch of radiators on one side and reservoirs on the other side, and a whole tubing loops that run through it, and so you'd have different colors and so on. And this would have been like the third or fourth year that this thing was in use, just displaying either fans or radiators or pumps on the show floor. And it was the night before PAX, and me and Jono were in the warehouse until like 10 or 11 o'clock trying to stop leaks. Like, because this thing had been moved so many times, and it had been taken apart and put back together, that every time we turned it on, it would just go... and coolant would start spraying somewhere, and we finally got it right. And I was on the show floor at PAX, and we were doing a PUBG competition that I was announcing. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw the wall there. It's pumping purple coolant in one loop and black coolant in another loop. And there's some kid who walks up, and he was just reaching towards one of the tubes, as if he was just going to grab it and move it. And in my mind, I'm imagining coolant spraying all over PAX. And and on the microphone, I'm like, Jono to the LCS wall. Jono to the LCS wall, please. Right now. And then just kept announcing the competition as Jono runs over. He's like, please don't touch that.
Get away from there. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess he would not understand the pain going through for 6 hours after work trying to get that to work. PAX crunch is real, actually. So
It's bad. Yeah, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much organizing there will always be something that doesn't go right, or something that didn't ship in time, or some random little thing that hasn't gone to plan.
Yep.
And if you're up just stressing it like 1 in the morning, going, wow, this are we going to actually have the booth set up by the time that the public are going to be looking at this? It's a nightmare. Yeah.
Yep. And on Bump In, there's just like random people walking around with duct tape, because everybody needs duct tape.
Everyone
needs duct
tape. Is
Be a random person like, can I borrow that?
Hold on, let me put my booth together.
Yep.
Give me duct tape.
Pretty much. And like, I mean, there's a lot of PAX crunch with us. We've all shared interesting tales of setup and pack down. Oh my gosh! But even the days before, I think we've all three of us have shared in trying to get systems ready.
Yep.
Until like midnight. I think midnight is like just the standard anyway.
Yep. And working with the modders on some of their incredible, amazing builds that are just so showy and so bonkers. And like the amount of times we were like, hey, is this going to be ready in 2 weeks? And we're like, yeah. 2 weeks later, it's nearly there. It's nearly there.
Yeah, well, it'll be done.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. By the way, can you send me a bunch more stuff? Why?
Might fit into what I had planned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unrelated.
on the show floor whilst we're setting up.
Good luck.
Okay. Yeah.
Could I drive to the Thermaltake warehouse and please get some spare parts?
Yes.
Ring fees.
Yep. Many late night calls like that.
100%.
The one hardware destruction I remember, and I think this was when we were first getting into video, was Thermaltake had just announced and was bringing out titanium-rated power supply units. And I remember I think, Jono, this is definitely you. I wasn't there when it happened, like in the room with you, but I specifically recall we ordered in one of these, 1250 watt PSU titaniums early. We got it like a month before launch. We were meant to do like a video advert for it and all this, snazzy stuff. And what was it, the first day we got it or the second day we got it, Jono managed to blow it up. And I remember just how red you were in the face and us having to explain that, yes, the only unit that was in Australia, we've just destroyed it. Yep. And the likelihood of us getting another one in time before launch, probably not going to happen because there were none.
Yeah. And now I'm trying to remember how it happened.
I think you plugged in the switches to the motherboard incorrectly. Yes. And it just shorted the PSU and it just went, and there was like a bunch of smoke. And you came out and were like, guys, I got some bad news. I'm like, how bad are we talking here, Jono? Like
$500 bad. Yeah, like I think this was because it had the SPM platform integrated.
It did. And did you plug the USB or something? It was one of the switches to the motherboard.
Yeah, it was like the USB 2.0 header. And I think I plugged it into like, it could either have been like the front like I/O panel section or like an RGB header or something, but it wasn't obviously the USB 2.0. So
whatever it was
so
in the
like
wrong
the
hole.
PSU just went started smelling as soon as you clicked the on switch, and like a little bit of smoke came out, and it's like, oh shit.
I think the best part about that one, I'm hoping you're still using it, is you ended up using that power supply as a monitor stand to raise the height of your graphics monitor at the time.
Yep.
See, I've evolved since. No, I'm using monitor arms now. I'm a rich 2020 version of me. No,
I wonder if it's still around.
I actually don't think it is.
Oh,
I do not think that
devastating.
Specific PSU has made it to this office.
Sad day.
But yeah, I think that's like most expensive break for me.
Because I remember, Jeremy, when you were at MSI and both me and Jono were at Thermaltake, there were a couple of very swanky, very exclusive graphics cards that you sent us that were like, please don't break this. There was one of them, I don't remember what it was, but there was like 6 of them in Australia, and every time Jono was in the studio, I would just pretend to knock it over. And like Jono would be leaving the room and I'd just go, whoops.
I think it was your Lightning Z card for one of them.
Yeah, I can believe that. It's probably one of the Lightning graphics.
It's a big boy, huge.
I'm going to give Jono and myself now a post-traumatic stress disorder here. The stress of hearing that a $1,500 graphic card is potentially gone is not something I want to be here.
Yes. Hence why I work in software as a service now, because there are very few things I can do to break it.
Yeah. So now if you break something, it's just on a global scale anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you affect more people.
I just accidentally shut down the internet. Just go.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Oh man.
I'll just be over here.
Cool.
I knew the end was fragile, but oh dear.
So another thing I was wondering, what is each of yours favorite video that you worked on for the channel? If it's public, I suppose. Otherwise, if we can go into it, that is. If you can remember them, that is.
Yeah.
I've rewatched them all recently, so I have my personal favorites, but I want to hear you guys' favorites.
Because you could break it down into categories for me. I guess like I love video, so like kind of hard to pick my favorite one. The ones that and it'll probably be shared between us three anyway. The ones that were the most fun to probably make were always the Christmas videos, because we were just stupid.
Yep.
I think like I can't remember.
Move on those ones.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We weren't stuck on a very strict schedule and, the entire seasonal festivities, if you will, we were shone in those sorts of videos.
Definitely.
We had a good amount of fun on camera with those.
Yep.
Behind the camera too.
Yep.
That matter.
Yeah. Like
I agree. I think the Christmas episodes, because like I think it must have been 3 years ago, so it would have been like 2017. There was one Christmas video that was just weird. It was the same one where I at one point have a blindfold on and I use a broom to swat a cardboard box out of the air. And I think the finale, like the end of it, was me wearing a Santa hat, and Jeremy, you had to reach in and grab the Santa hat and pull it off my head because it was full of confetti and it would just rain down all over me. That took like 15 shots, and it was the timing of like Jeremy's hand comes in, grabs the thing and lifts, and it would like lift too slowly, and then it would just be this clump of confetti that would just roll down my face, or it would be at the wrong time and I wouldn't have finished my take, or it would be like it would go up and it would just go outside the frame and there would be confetti all over that side of the room. Like it took so long.
Confetti would be awful to work with.
Well, I think I get stirred about because I have a line in there that's impossible, but like,
that's impossible.
That's impossible on the forklift.
And then like I hit. Like I think I'm wearing 2 pairs of glasses.
There is one where you got 2.
Yeah, and I take off one pair.
Yeah.
Throw it away, but it chips my the other pair that I have as well.
Oh, no.
It's just perfect. But like I think Justin every now and then. Or it could be Taylor. Someone stirs me about it, but they're like, "That's impossible."
That's impossible.
Well, that's not possible. I think it is.
I think
Can't
it is,
remember.
that's not
it's
possible.
Just that was quite a funny video. I think that was like probably our last Christmas video together.
I think it was.
Yeah, and I think the other ones for me, like if you look back, this won't be surprising to anybody who looks back at my videos, but a lot of that wasn't scripted. And
that is one of my questions,
I would write an outline that was like 60%. It was all the specs and it was all the bits about the products that I wanted to cover. But then I think for each of you guys, there was the Kronos Ring 7.1 headset that was while Jono was working on the box for the big red box that we made for EB Games. So Jono was off doing that, so me and Jeremy were filming that one, and that was one of the only times it was just me and Jeremy working on a video, so I got to try out a bunch of weird, different jokes, because my thing for jokes was always just keep trying new jokes until whoever's filming can't take it anymore, and they just lose their mind laughing. And so that was a really fun one, because I realized, okay, the same jokes that work on Jono don't work on Jeremy. Okay, so let's do something different. So that one was really different and weird. And then on the Jono side, I think the View 71 was the one where I got some really good jokes in. So there's some weird stuff.
Rating is on the comedic scale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was just how weird could I go? It was one of the cases that I kept trying to fit in something about a tempered glass fish tank. And I just went around in circles on this one line about filling a tank with water and then having fish swimming around in a system. And it just wouldn't land. And I kept going at it until you guys like, drop the fish tank!
It's not going to work.
The fish is not working!
The joke is ridiculous. I think there was something in there about it. It was... I've actually got the YouTube channel up in front of me. It was.
So I do feel like I remember seeing something about
versus C23 RGB. There's a fish tank joke in there that took way too long.
I do recall multiple videos though of all of us being stuck in the studio way too past, the 5:30 knockoff clock time.
Yep.
And Jono just having tears of laughter. His face. Like 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and we're still in there, and Nathaniel's just cracking the most absurd jokes. We've been filming for 5 hours, and none of us can. We're just all going slightly insane.
Yeah, because then it gets to the point where I just start laughing without you even saying a punchline anymore.
Yep.
Yes.
You just look at me.
Yes.
You start wondering if the video is ever going to actually get finished.
Yes.
What have we started?
Well, that was the thing. I think there was, like, over the years, there was talk of that we were going to do a blooper reel, that we were going to do just an outtakes video of all of the weird jokes that never made it onto camera, and I think that's the biggest blooper of all, that video never actually got finished.
I would have loved to see that.
I know there's a half-finished version on one of Jono's memory cards somewhere, and it's the weirdest jokes that never landed.
Working on it and putting it together. There's a lot of swearing in it. From both of you guys too.
So many bleeps.
I mean, the channel's now, it's maturing. So you're about to start hitting that phase where we can work some of that language in.
Yes, between 5 and 6 years old is when they start swearing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're not a teenager yet, guys. Gosh.
Oh man, yeah. So that part, I think like it was one of the biggest challenges trying to film a video. Was trying to keep a straight face a lot of the time. But I think the really impressive part is the fact that all of us, like, whenever we've jumped on camera, we don't have teleprompters. None of our videos have a teleprompter, and you feel a struggle now.
Oh, I understand the struggle now.
But like, yeah, so essentially every video that's come out it can be loosely scripted, but we never really read it word for word.
Yep.
I think that's quite incredible. Just a nugget for people who are watching. Really.
If you've stuck around this long, you get that little.
Well, and it still amazes me because I thought everyone did the same thing, but it turns out everyone that has a YouTube channel with over 1,000 subscribers somehow has a teleprompter.
Yeah, they're reading.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I remember we debated about should we get the teleprompter or not, and we said no. To keep it more natural and organic, we're going without.
Yep.
Yeah.
And make of that what you will.
Yeah.
I think so.
It was there. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of pain. At the end of the day, we were always pretty proud of what we'd managed to even accomplished. So.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think like it made it more versatile because, like, I mean, remember that year that Jeremy, you and me went to Computex, and we were just on the booth finding weird things to talk about, doing like little booth tours and doing a quick video about this case or a quick video about this, and I think when you need to be on like that in a situation where you're not really prepared for it, where you've flown halfway across the world, you're on like 4 hours sleep and 9 coffees, you can't really follow a teleprompter, and so in that instance you need to be able to just riff and to just get the information across and be entertaining on camera. So we kind of trained ourselves for those situations.
It worked out really well. I remember it was super efficient. We basically sat down in front of whatever it was, a new case, and just bang, the video was shot and filmed within a span of 10 minutes, and then a few B-roll angles were taken, and we moved on to the next big, and best thing that we had. So exactly, and I think that's part of the reason again why we said no, we don't want to be, really boxed in by a teleprompter and just reading off lines of script that we've pre-written. Let's keep some dynamic here and see where it takes us. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
More natural, definitely.
Yeah. Were there? And this is another one that'll test the old memory banks. But having now known that a lot of the stuff you guys did were pretty impromptu and pretty as you go, were there any videos in particular you remember being an absolute chore to film? Like it just took forever. You just couldn't get it done for whatever reason. Any of them were just really difficult.
Because he's normally the one who was slaving behind
that was struggling
camera, and then in the editing software to bring it all together. If it needed to be saved in post, it was always John who was beating his head against the monitor.
Yeah. Trying to think of one in our time. I know there was one that was there was a video concept that for you, Jeremy, that I thought was quite the kerfuffle. And yeah, I think you know which one it is. SPM.
Oh, SPM, yes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Management system. Yep.
Yeah. That one, I mean, I don't think that ever came out. Or actually, maybe it did, but not public.
But not in its original outline. And
yeah. That was a top keck video. Actually, I'm gonna grab I'm gonna grab my phone and just like have a browse through the channel, because like there have been times, and I can remember the times themselves, like, but I just can't remember the video itself, which was a struggle.
I think
Because there've been times where I'm just sitting and banging my head against the wall. Like, can't I? A lot of it is creative block, because a lot of it, like, I mean, we do first looks, and at some point during a release year, there'll be like 6 or 7 cases that just drop one after the other. And so trying to do 7 individual first looks. I mean, we did it at the beginning of this year. We did like 4 or 5 cases in a row. And that's always a struggle to remain creative and still make it interesting and different to watch, because you don't want them to be exactly the same.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I always enjoyed the like, one of the things that I really liked about some of the videos that Jono really kind of got into the edit with was when we found a really great sync between the visuals of the video and the music that we were using. And so there were definitely a few times where we'd shot everything and we just couldn't find the right piece of music to go with it. But a couple of the ones that I absolutely love the edit for were particularly the fan videos. Like the Ring Plus 20, the 20mm, the big fans, as well as the Ring Trio fans. They were like a couple of years ago when we were in the newer studio, and the edits to music for those are just gorgeous, and I absolutely love them. But that definitely means that, like, it kind of messes with your order of production, because it's like, do you shoot the stuff first, or do you find the music first and then work backwards? And there were a couple of times where we had to keep, like, we'd find the right bit of music when we were most of the way through the edit and go, okay, we need to go back and get this shot, and this shot to match what's going on in the music.
But, like, I think that I mean, it's still a struggle today, actually.
Yeah.
Trying to find music for anything. We use Artlist
Yep.
for all our music, and I thank whoever got me onto that, because that's been an amazing thing. But at the same time, trying to find music can always take like 2 hours or 3 or something. It can be ludicrous. But yeah, the Ring videos were always super fun, because it depends on the type of editor you are, but a lot of editors are like myself, and you'll find a song and then the song first. That way you can then move into creating an edit around, or like shoot to that song. And that's what we did with the Ring fans. I mean, the cool thing about the Ring fans is the lighting effects, and so syncing them with the song was kind of
Great idea.
kind of the idea to go for. I can't remember any that like painful, other than that SPM one, because I think we tried so hard to make it work, and it just it's not.
if we released it, it would have been a mistake.
100%.
I really recall us really hitting a wall with that one and just not being able to break through it and get it to where we wanted it to be. And it did eventually release, but in a completely different, style, very different approach with it. One of the other really technically driven videos that I loved is when we did the AMD Ryzen video, and it was a PC giveaway. And I remember you slaved away with tons of B-roll. The audio and backing track was phenomenal. That was a really well shot, and I really seriously loved what you delivered with that video. It was that first major step into diving into more video adverts of that nature. And I remember from just a technical perspective, it really pushed your ability, and you grew a lot from making that one. And I think, do we have the automated slide rail at that point, or were we still doing everything by just, hand pan heads and things like that? I can't remember.
That would have been around the same time.
I think it may. Were you around for the? It was a Ryzen.
That one
giveaway
was a
from
collaboration
with Hardware Unboxed. Steve.
Yeah, Hardware Unboxed. So I wasn't there for the shooting of that one. I think I was on holidays, but I was part of the team at that point. And I think that that would have been around the same time that you guys got the new like slide rail and so on.
New gear or something. Yeah. I mean, at that same time, there was like a heap of videos before that where it was all just we used your slider, Jeremy, or just like steady hands.
Yep.
You know?
That was a
Don't breathe.
Yeah.
We are the slide rail.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember that. It's a fantastic series. I think it's a 3-part video. Really cool collaboration that we did. And yeah, I guess I should dive back in and watch that because I like to see where it came from in that. At the moment nowadays, I don't do much of the editing. Most of my editing is more the dream build stuff, where it's basically a 15-minute video of Nick, our system builder, delicately putting together a system. And I really enjoy that sort of style at the moment. Otherwise, most of our videos now are done by Justin, which is really cool because Justin's such an efficient editor. And so I get to film and then I give him all the footage and he puts it together and he's magic. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting, like the cycle. I think for the biggest thing for me actually growing as well is actually letting go of that part.
Yeah.
And I think like, obviously when you step into like management positions, letting go is something like of certain things is what you have to do anyway. But I think that was the biggest, like, for me, in terms of progression as a human being, it's being able to let go of my baby, so to speak, and being able to step back and still see it like so. So Justin's taking it pretty much further than I would have been at this stage. So it's really cool.
Cool. And so my final question of the day. I know it's just whizzed by this.
Yeah,
last
we're
hour.
like almost capping at 56 minutes.
Yeah, look at us go. So the last one for anyone out there listening who basically wants to do what you guys do and have the career you guys have. What advice would you give them for getting to where you are? Some might just be finishing high school or looking at where to go. What kind of advice would you guys give for someone who wants to do what you do, I suppose?
Yeah. I mean, I've got an answer for this because I do. I occasionally get involved in like mentoring and things like that through universities, so I get this question a bit. And my thing always is, even if as a creative or as somebody who produces content or somebody who even just professionally does work for hire or even for a business like Dropbox or MSI, finding a core skill set that is yours, that you hone in the same way that an artist would paint or a sculptor would sculpt, or even in the same way that like a furniture maker practices and makes furniture over and over again. Find that core skill that is yours and you own that, and you treat that like your day-to-day job to improve on that. And and find a way that if you're using that skill, honing that skill and getting paid to do it, that's the best thing in the world. And for me, that's writing. For Jono, I know it's photography. And for Jeremy, well, it's a bit of everything, really. But that's always been my thing, is like find the skill that if somebody pays you to keep doing it, you'll be happy with that. And then you can do that anywhere. And that's always valuable because then you become a specialist in that one area.
Nice.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. Wholeheartedly agree with that. And obviously on top of that as well, Nathanael, it's about having that drive and that passion to just keep connecting and keep, even when, you go, wow, I've accomplished more than I, thought I would in whatever field it is that you're specializing with. You need to be able to continue to keep breaking down those boundaries and keep pushing further and going beyond. Because what will eventually happen is, take the video world, for instance, if you went back and looked at YouTube tech videos 10 years ago, you've got Linus Tech Tips sitting in a warehouse garage of NCIX, talking to basically a web camera, and you look at the top leading channels today, and it's just
apples and oranges.
Cinema level with some of it. it's pretty ridiculous. You've got red epic cameras coming into play, really technical type filming happening. You've got to keep having that drive and motivation to keep going that one step better. Even when you sit there and you go, I'm an outstanding writer, but there's always going to be an area that you can continue to improve and can continue to work on and build from. So it's really, a lot of it is about having that drive to keep pushing forward with it. Don't ever get complacent, and don't sit there and say, I've accomplished enough, I've achieved enough, I don't need to develop this any further, because it's never true.
Yep. That was always my justification. Like, in my mind, I always think the difference between a professional and a hobbyist is, the hobbyist will wait for the right time and the right circumstances, and I feel creative today and I've got 2 hours to do something, so let's do something. But a professional can wake up with 2 hours sleep, can be hungover, can have had a fight with their family the morning before, and still get up and still do work and still be creative. And that's a really hard thing to do, especially when you're starting out, because you go through school and you can be creative, but to be creative on demand is very hard sometimes.
For sure. And I'll echo what Jeremy has said. Don't become complacent, really. I think to be able to, if you find something, as well as Nathanael has said, that you're good at, and you'd be happy for someone to pay you to do that, use that to then push yourself into different career paths that you can still utilize that skill in different ways. So, you might find a local store has terrible, or has no video presence, and you love video. So you can use your video skills, and you can talk to them and sort of say, hey, you should, hire me to do this, and reach out to them and say, this is what I can provide, and this is how it'll be really cool, and it can sort of benefit your company. But otherwise, you can always grow by taking on new projects, and never be, not to say always beat yourself up about your work, but know that you can get better. And if you ever stop thinking that, I'm the best, there's nothing else left for me, then you need to move on. You need to go somewhere else, because you have to find a place where you can continue to grow. And generally, if you work in a team, it's easier to do. If you work by yourself, it's a bit hard. But I guess never really settle for what your skills are at as being the best that they can be. Always continue to invest in education. Actually, I think is also something. You don't have to do TAFE courses. YouTube is fantastic. If you just practice a new technique of whatever you're into, woodcrafting, or photography or graphic design. If you just practice a new technique once a month, once every 2 weeks, you're expanding your skill set and you're getting better. So.
I think the other part that really on top of it that defines it again as being professional rather than amateur or hobbyist as well is respecting the fact that not everything you do is going to be fun. You are going to have just as many good times as you're probably going to have bad times. You need to be able to continue to push through that and work through it, and be completely respectful of that being the case. So it's not always going to be, daisies and rainbows and fun times. Even in, the hardware tech world, there's going to be issues, whether it's you've just blown up the only sample in the country and now you're going to work with you and you're not going to get the coverage that you're expected to get on your reporting, or, a circumstance like that where PAX is tomorrow and you still have 2 demo systems that aren't, operating as they should. After PAX is done, you're going to look back on that and go, wow, I was happy that I put in the extra mile here and really got the show to where it needed to be, even in that last 10% to get it to where it needed to be. And, you're going to be able to look back on that and feel really proud of what you've accomplished with it. So, a lot of people go into it and just expect it's always going to be, incredible every single step of the way. It's not. It's a slug. You've really got to push hard through it and have that commitment and drive.
And one last thing is, no matter where you go and no matter what you do, you work with people. And you work in a team, and if you are good to people, then people are good to you. And that's how you build, you can, the three of us have all been in arguments about different things at one time or another, but we're all still friends. We all still chat and play games, and it's about, at the end of the day, that's about how you treat people and how they treat you, as opposed to the work that you're doing. So be good to each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Words to live by, anyway. In general,
100%.
words to live by.
Well, yeah, I think all three of us, definitely. A lot of the times, actually, butting heads has been something that helps me grow. To be honest, because I'm not really a confrontational person at all, but being able to have an open mind as well, and when you do butt heads, being able to see what the other person's trying to get at with their idea and basically make everything better. So for myself, I think a lot of the time I've argued, I wouldn't say argue, but I've butt heads with yourself, Nathanael, but all of them I felt pretty afterwards, I'm like, oh, you know what? That's actually cool. Okay, I didn't see it this way. This is a fantastic idea to go with, and grow my skill set. So I felt like every time I did have a little biff with yourself, I grew. So I was like, I like this. It's fun.
Yeah, same. I mean, everybody has different perspectives, and you're never going to be always right. And there are many times when I was not right.
Oh, well, lovely. I reckon that's probably about it, lads. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. I don't know how to outro this. This is
I don't think
the
we're
worst.
still,
We don't have
18
one.
episodes
18
in.
episodes in.
Still don't know how to outro, how to land a plane.
If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to
Get the teleprompter out. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, Jeremy, if somebody wanted to find you on social media, how would they do it?
Oh, I'm not huge on socials.
You suck.
Well,
You know, I spend so much time on them during work hours that my mantra really is I try and switch off on the weekends. Socials. It's my more than 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I have more than enough, hours on every social media platform under the sun. So connecting with me isn't super easy, but if you do want to send me an email or something like that and get in touch, more than happy to it. My email is jeremytate@msi.com. Feel free to, shoot me a message, whether it's, about finding a job in the industry, for instance, or, whatever it might be. Feel free to drop me a line there. It's probably the best place to do it.
Yeah. Same thing. So Nathaniel Peacock, there are very few Nathaniel Peacocks in Australia. I think there's one other one somewhere in South Australia. I'll find
you must eliminate him.
Yeah, not for much longer.
But I am That Peacock on Twitter is a good way to get to me. Otherwise, you can just Google me, and there's a bunch of different ways to find me through either my own website or Facebook or Twitter, all public. So. Yeah.
Lovely.
Cool.
Thank you guys for having us.
No
worries.
Yeah, likewise. It's been good to catch up, actually.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying. I mean, I got to do a little mini catch up with Nathanael the other week, but yeah, it's cool.
Lovely.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, peace out. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, well.
Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end. We do hope you enjoyed this episode of Thermal Talk. If you want to join in the discussion or maybe even submit a topic for us to talk about in future, make sure to jump over to our Discord. We also do weekly giveaways there as well. Remember also that these video podcasts are available audio a week earlier. So jump over to our Spotify, SoundCloud, or Apple Podcasts to listen earlier. And we'll catch you on the next one.